Hey everybody, and hope you're all doing well. Happy New Year again, and appreciate you tuning in. So, thank you for everything and watching in the comments, watch the videos, and sharing knowledge and ideas. So, I'm learning a lot, and I appreciate all the interaction. I think it's great. So, and subscribe if you haven't, or give it a thumbs up if you want to, or thumbs down if you want to. But appreciate you watching. So, I wanted to share this video. Another UFO whistleblower came out. His name is Jake Barber. So it's the video that was in the thumbnail, but I'll also put the link to it in the description. So, but it's really fascinating because more and more of these guys are coming out, and this other guy, Dr. Greer, Stephen Greer, has been saying for a while this is going to happen, and now we're kind of at that threshold where non-disclosure is occurring. So, as the government starts to admit, for example, that UFOs are real, and former government officials, like high-ranking, say like Israeli generals or U.S. military individuals, are admitting to, yeah, we've seen UFOs, not only that, but there are aliens out there, and the disclosure is coming gradually from people who were in the know or directly involved, including like this guy here, who's a former military official. It's one of several in the past few months, Jake Barber, that have been coming forward and saying not only are aliens and UFOs real, but we have some of their craft and have reverse engineered, have been studying it, and have some of the bodies of pilots that are recovered. We've been studying it, and have been in communication even with other civilizations for decades now. So, and part of the movement of these whistleblowers is because the government and some non-governmental agencies too, and across the planet, so it's a variety of countries and official governments and non-government agencies, aerospace companies and things like that, are crafting this narrative to eventually admit openly, yes, there are aliens and spaceships, but they are here to create some sort of fear or negativity about such things. This one guy, Jeremy Corbell, in a different episode, mentioned that over the next couple of years, 2 or 3 years, the narrative is going to be there's a spaceship or basically aliens that are heading our way, and that we need to get ready, or they have malintent, or and it's not true. But the point is to as these different points of admission from governments saying, yeah, they're real. Okay, UFOs are real. Okay, aliens are real. Okay, look, we spotted a ship and it's coming our way, and they don't have good intent. They want to drum up fear to create more money for the military industrial complex, and for more money to generate to put into these projects where they could study things more. So I think because fear creates unity, and it may be less chaotic than simply, I don't know. I don't really want to get into it, but I kind of see the good aspects of it, but I disagree with full disclosure under false pretense as well. We always have to be careful, but lying just to drum up fear, even if it pulls humanity together just to generate money, seems like there's a better way forward. But I understand the strategy. I mean, especially, say, because the U.S. and their allies are already in the lead for that sort of thing. So we don't want to give any edge to our enemies, for example, and want to maintain control economically and militarily. And this would generate that initially. It's very nuanced. I disagree and I agree with it, but I think eventually we do want to get to a point where, just as a planet, we're going to know, as we're learning now, that other civilizations exist out there, other dimensions even within the physical universe, where life, it's teeming with life, and very advanced life. And eventually we'll have geopolitical of interdimensional politics, just like we do on Earth. And we'll understand, because there are good civilizations out there and bad ones too. So But I don't know. I'm just curious to see how this all plays out. I'm kind of on the fence about. Ultimately, we want to be more truthful and with our approach to things, but we're so tribal on Earth. The need to protect ourselves, both and maintain stability at a foreign and domestic level, makes sense. But eventually, hopefully, we get to a place where there's less tribalism on Earth to the degree where humanity can at least begin to come together by healing things like hunger and sicknesses. We're on a good trajectory, but eventually, once we get to that point, we'll have to pass all our other differences, whatever they are. Anyways, sorry. Before I get too off topic, so this guy, he's very real. He's very matter of fact, and I believe what he says, and I think it's really interesting his input on all this, because he says basically the same thing too, and I've said in other videos too, which I find kind of refreshing, is don't think like this is just some evil cover up, just bad, and these whistleblowers are basically here to prove that. I mean, our government's always going to keep secrets. Governments are there to protect the people, and to do that, they have to maintain secrecy, again, at a foreign and domestic level, against to make sure, and it just makes sense. We're not just going to share all of our secrets and ideas and everything with everybody. What gives us an edge is partly the ability to protect our technology and money and have a strong military. So there will always be a level of secrecy. But there's always a healthy level of secrecy and truth to maintain as well. So that's important to point out. But he points that out, but also, the most fascinating thing that I wanted to share. I encourage you guys to watch the whole thing. It's about 3 hours, and it's better than it being chopped up and edited. It just feels different, and it comes across different. And but the main experience I wanted to talk about, so this guy retrieved a UFO, and he shared a picture or a video of him. He was the helicopter pilot that picked it up in a sling and carried it back to a secret location. And he says, yes, he goes, there's secret bases everywhere, and that I can admit to you. Where we do experimentation and there's alien bodies and stuff like that. I don't know if he admitted to that, because he said there's certain things he's just not privy to that he hasn't seen, but he's heard of from reputable people, like the existence of aliens and people communicating with them. So he's only speaking to what not only he's seen and can prove, but also what's safe for him to release at the same time, which is totally understood. But I was having these channeling sessions, right? I was curious about these craft and their capabilities. So, because he said when they were carrying this egg back to base, he was hit and just flooded with this extremely powerful sense of just pure love the whole time. And I was like, wow, what is that? So I was asking questions about these spacecraft, and some of them are manned, some of them are not. But the ones that are not are AI, and we're getting there. We have this ability now. We're developing it. So it's, of course, possible. But some of these are of a high degree of intelligence, like supercomputers that could communicate and even feel. They have emotional circuitry or the ability to understand and feel emotions just like we can. So, and they can project these things. Remember, emotions are just a physical frequency or a chemical reaction or like a force of energy that can be projected on someone, just like heat or cold, right? So if you know the right frequencies and energy, you can actually project the feeling of love or peace or calm or fear or hatred or anger or jealousy, whatever it is. But this thing was actually projecting love as a way to communicate. Like, look, I'm not here for any harmful purposes, here, like communicating through emotion. So even if it was, I don't know if this particular craft he retrieved was manned. I didn't ask that question, but even if it was, the pilots have these technological capabilities too, to be able to do that. And we're experimenting with this now too, like consciousness technology. What is interesting is in Neuralink, we're experimenting with that now too. So the idea is real and we're doing it. But these advanced civilizations, from what I understand, they can actually, sure, they have helmets and stuff like that they could wear where they could speak telepathically or pilot craft, and even move things with their mind, just like we're starting to learn with Neuralink. But they can also create this technology, like they can bioengineer it into themselves. And we've discussed that here on Earth too, and there's a lot of moral questions about that, like chips we can implant into ourselves that now become part of our body, to where now we can control like our remote control, but only our remote control, for example, using the chip in our mind. We've made advances like controlling like a video game, things on the screen with just the mind, replacing limbs, where now the operator, like people who don't have limbs, can now move it just like they can their other limbs using their mind. It's amazing the possibility that exists with this technology, and we're getting there. Anyway, so these advanced species that are out there that are real have the ability, and so do their ships. So you could talk to ships just like you would a human being, and they have the ability to feel and understand that. One point is it's very telling, okay, that these powerful civilizations exist out there, and rather than communicate through fear and hate, they could just blow us up if they wanted to, or just reduce us to nothing, or control us, or make us feel hate and fear at all times, or to whatever ends they want. But they have a very strict non-interference protocol, just like we have such things on Earth, for like a variety of places and reasons, like tribes in the Amazon that want to be left alone. So in certain countries, designate certain areas, protected, and certain people's protected, and they're to be left alone because they've communicated that. They say, look, we don't want to, just let us do our thing, So it's the same idea, is what I'm saying. So the fact that they are not destructive and manipulative, did I say that right? And have good intent is also proven by the fact that a lot of these whistleblowers are saying too, some of these downed craft that we've studied, or these craft that have crashed, we brought down. We made them crash using weaponry or our experimental EMPs, electromagnetic pulse, like in the movie The Matrix, something that actually creates a field of energy so strong it can disrupt these craft and bring them down. So, and we did that on purpose to study them once we were aware of their existence and had the ability to do so. So the fact that they haven't just attacked us or done that, they're operating at a very high level of patience and understanding because they've gone through the same thing. And unfortunate as it is, they show a lot of restraint when we do these things. So anyways, I think that's all I wanted to share about it. I don't want to ruin too much more. He doesn't. Well, actually, I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's not like anything brand new or groundbreaking. It's just more people coming forward and talking about these types of technologies that exist, and that both government and non-government organizations have been studying them and communicating with other civilizations for quite some time. So, and he's just sharing his experience with that, and he's part of this disclosure, disclosure movement of truth versus these false flag narratives that some people claim are going to be put out there. So exciting stuff. I think we're living in very exciting times. So eventually the sort of stuff is going to be taken for granted a few generations down. So we're kind of in this point in our history where we're now exploring outer space more and more, coming into contact with civilizations. And eventually this is going to be in the history books. And people, just like when I was a kid, we didn't have cell phones. It makes me feel old, like 30 to 40 years ago. So like when I was growing up, no cell phones. And computers were hilarious back then too. They were totally different. So, but now, kids are growing up with iPhones, and what's happened in the last 30, 40 years is now, history to kids that are growing up now. It's interesting as you get older and you start to kind of experience and understand these things. But anyways, yeah, so we're in this point in history, I think, that is massive for humanity as a whole, and to be part of it and to answer some of these ultimate questions that have been asked for quite some time. are we alone in the universe? The UFOs. Not only that, but realize the potential of technology and where it can take us if we harness it properly. It's really exciting stuff. So, anyways, thanks for watching, and check out the video and see what you think. Again, I'll put the link for the video in the description, and you can see the picture, like a still shot of it too, in the thumbnail. So, all right. Well, thanks again.